Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to my channel. Today I will explain about Gauss theorem. Very important concept of electrostatics and very applicative in field of electrostatics. So there, before starting the concept of Gauss theorem, I want to explain certain basic terminologies which are used there, and that is first thing we have to deal with here, area vector. Area vector, when we are dealing up till now, area we have thought that it is a scalar quantity. How we can say that area as a vector quantity? Yes, that may be a brainstorming question in your brain, and for that, I will give you a simple conceptual answer. Area vector, because now this area which we are dealing for, it will be having flow of electric field, and electric field is having a particular direction. So, and this electric field is represented by electric field lines, and when it is represented by electric field lines, whether that electric field lines have to be perpendicular to the surface. If they are not perpendicular to the surface, obviously the condition for electric field lines will not be satisfied. For that purpose, we have to take area as a vector quantity. How to provide direction to area? Nothing we have to do. We have to take that area, and this area can be equal to ds, and an imaginary perpendicular line we can draw on the surface of that area, which can be representing the direction, and with this ds and n cap we are having ds vector, which can be represented as ds dot n cap. Now we got area as area vector. So that means whenever electric field is existing there, it should be along the direction of area vector. If it is not so, what happens? This electric field has to be resolved into two components, and the component which is along the area vector will only be responsible for electric flux in that particular region or vicinity, you can say. Then now this area vector we have studied. With that area vector we are coming to concept of electric flux. Electric flux is nothing, they are normal electric field lines on the surface of charge conductor. Total number of electric field lines, remember they should be normal and along the direction of that particular area vector, then only they are called as electric flux. Electric flux can be represented as d phi equals to closed integral of E dot ds. Okay. E is the electric field there and D is the area there. Okay. Now, the unit for electric flux is Weber. So, what does this Weber represent here? This Weber can be represented as Newton per Coulomb into meter square. Why? Because flux is equal to E dot ds. SI unit of electric field Newton per Coulomb, and ds we are taking as meter square, and this Weber will be equal to Newton Coulomb meter square, and then the dimensional formula m1 L1 T minus 2 L square A minus 1 T minus 1, that means m1 L cube T minus 3 and A minus 1. Once again, you see, when we are dealing with ds, electric field into area vector, that is the basic fundamental formula which is here. Electric field can be represented as force per unit charge. So Newton per Coulomb. ds is the area here. So we are using meter square. Now force, when we are dealing ml1 t minus 2 meter square, it will become lt, and Coulomb. Coulomb is 80. When it is taken as denominator, it will become minus a minus 1 t minus 1, and finally when we simplify m1 l3 t minus 3 a minus 1. So that will give you the dimensional formula for our electric flux. Here now the terminology one more which we have to keep in mind, that is Gaussian surface area. What does this Gaussian surface area represent? This Gaussian surface area represents the space around any body which we have taken, where we can have a uniformity of electric field. Means either the electric field is increasing or decreasing, but it should have a uniform rate. Then we are coming to Gauss theorem. Okay, Gauss theorem. First thing which has to be in mind, Gauss theorem is only for symmetrical charge distribution, and it should be for closed surface area. There you see the statement itself reveals, it states that total electric flux is always equal to 1 upon epsilon 0 times of charge. Now this charge should be enclosed inside the closed surface. If the charge moves out of that particular surface, then that charge will never be responsible for our electric flux. That so many conceptual and reasoning questions reveals with this concept. That's what I am saying, very important concept of electrostatics. So total electric flux is always 1 upon epsilon 0 times of total charge enclosed in the surface, then it is called our statement for Gauss theorem. This Gauss theorem, generally it is for symmetrical charge distributions and also Gaussian surface. I have already told you the uniformity should be maintained. It is not necessary that electric field has to be constant there, but it should be increasing than in uniform manner, decreasing than in uniform manner. So how we can prove that? So this proof for Gauss theorem, now you see we are having d phi equals to line integral of E dot ds. This Gauss theorem, when we are dealing, it will be for a point charge, and this point charge will have its own electric field around it in form of a sphere, and this will become the Gaussian surface. And here we have taken elementary this area, that is ds, and on that electric field and area vector are in same direction, because this electric field due to this plus q charge will also be directed in outward direction. ds also will be radially outward, because we have to remember that the area vector should be perpendicular to the particular surface. Now this is E dot ds, and it will become phi E ds cos of 0 degree. Why we are taking here 0 degree? Because electric field and ds, they are aligned in the same direction. So finally, and also for point charge, E is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q upon r square. We will substitute the value and we will integrate the term. So when we substitute the value, we will get here phi equals to 0 to 4 pi r square 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q upon r square, this and here ds. On integrating and substituting the limits, we are getting 1 upon 4 pi epsilon 0 q upon r square. ds can be only s and it will become 0 to 4 pi r square, and this can be finally completed as 4 pi r square. When we will finally simplify, we are getting the term as q upon epsilon 0. Here I have already justified that phi, the total flux for a point charge, okay, that will be 1 upon epsilon 0 times of q, and this q should be enclosed in the surface. One specific fact which has to be revealed now, that this flux is independent of dimensions. So when this flux is independent of dimensions, even if we are changing the dimension of that particular sphere, the total flux will never change. Either we can double that radius, we can triple the radius of the sphere, but flux will remain constant. Here, now we will come to the applicative approach of Gauss theorem. Very, very important applications are there. So, one applicative approach is thin spherical shell. For a thin spherical shell, we have to find out the total electric flux, and for a solid sphere, we have to consider the total electric